All right. Hello. Josh Warren here. So I see I got one that's joined. Your mic is muted right now. Um, if you have any questions, though, unmute and ask away. Tonight, we're going to start into the book stuff. Would love to answer any questions you got or any kind of comments. Majority of you have done really successfully with the online flipped classroom format. You've worked hard. You've done your assignments on time. Some of you have done them at the witching hour or at the very end there, but hey, done is done, right? But that's one of the reasons we flip the classroom and put it all in your hands, is because it makes it where you can make sure you access this material on your own time. I know some of y'all got kids and other things going on. I mean, life has to move on. So I want to remind you, though, that you do have assignments due by midnight every week. Don't wait to the end of the week at the midnight hour to reach out for help. Don't use work as an excuse, because I work 3 jobs, take 3 university level classes, and I've never been late on an assignment, nor will I ever be. You have to manage your time appropriately. Secondly, I want you to take this super seriously. Again, this is not art appreciation class. This is EMS EMT B 101. People could die if you don't know this stuff. Take it seriously. Make it a priority in your life. I'm only asking for 16 weeks of your life. This is week 3. So we've chiseled that down now, right? We got what, 14 weeks left this week and 13 more. It's a lot of material, and this week we're going to dial it to 11. This week your assignments will include reading chapters 1 through 7. The first couple of weeks were very easy weeks. We babied you. Week 3 is when we're going to kick it up a notch. So this week there's a lot of reading assignments. You may have already noticed that some of those assignments have already popped up. Your quiz is already ready. I finished it last Friday for you. I also gave you a study guide that if you do the study guide, if you listen to these lectures, if you read your book, you will have the answer to every question on your quiz. You can bust out 100. If you wait till last minute, catch snips and blips here, you'll be unsuccessful. My goal is to keep all of you, but I expect some attrition rate at a certain point, which means I will lose some of you. And it will not be because I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. It will not be because Mr. Larry and me have not put the banquet out there. You just chose not to eat it. Now, I understand things pop up. If you have a family emergency or a medical thing pop up and you cannot be here and blah, blah, blah. Hey guys, I understand, still love you, but it's not always a good time to go to EMT school. If something like that happens, we can work with you and recycle you back into another EMT class that we're going to have later on. But your family comes first. I want you to know that. Your family comes first, your health, your mental safety, all that is coming first. So I want you to really focus on, can I do this? It's not too late to bow out. But I want you all here. My industry needs you. We need bodies, but I don't just need anybody. I need a person that knows what the hell they're doing. I need competent, strong people out there, physically strong, mentally strong, emotionally strong people who are competent and can handle their business as an EMT B. So I am going to do everything I can for you to give you the tools of the trade and let you do this. But if you just refuse to do the work, if you're continuously late on assignments, if you are unable to reach out and make this thing happen, I can't in good conscience put you on the street. If you keep making 60s and 50s and can't turn in work on time, I can't in good conscience put you out there. I can't take the chance that you might hurt my family or his family, her family. We do this for our community because that's what EMS is about. We are of the people, for the people. We are here for, this is not a money-making job. You do this as a labor of love. This is a labor of love. You do not and will not make a lot of money as a EMT or paramedic. So that being said, it's a labor of love, and while it's a labor of love, it's still the funnest job ever. There ain't nothing better than saving somebody's life, being there for them in their hour of need. First responding is the best job in the world. You can't tell me it ain't. But you have to understand what you're getting into. Long hours and, you know, a lot of mental stresses. You got to be able to handle it here in EMT school. Okay? All right, enough rant. So tonight I'm going to cover chapters 1 through 4. Now, the good news is a bunch of you are already EMS Georgia drivers, which means this will be kind of a review for you. So that's great news for you. But tonight we're going to talk about the more detailed stuff that they might not have covered in driver's training because they didn't have time. As someone with experience with doing the orientation of the driver training, there's not enough time in the day to do 4 lectures and then a whole CPR class. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get started and share my screen. Booyah. All right, we're all in this together now. Let me go ahead and move us out the way. I need to get this thing out of the way better. There we go. All right, guys and girls, any questions, make sure you pop in and let me know, but we're gonna start moving forward right away. All right, so we're in the preparatory phase of EMT school. We want to prep you with the detail work of what EMS is, what it does, how to take care of yourself, how to have a long and happy career. Because again, this is blue collar work. We dress it up as hero work, and it is, but I mean, this is physically, it's physically a job. One of the things I tell people was I started working in the city of Atlanta. And running calls in the city of Atlanta, you find that there are 10, 15-story buildings with no elevator, not one, in this whole gigantic building. And of course, you got a call on the top floor and the patient's 400 pounds and they can't breathe and they're like minutes away from a respiratory arrest going into a cardiac arrest. So, and of course, they're wedged between the toilet and the bathtub. You know, all of Murphy's Law is just kicking off. Murphy's Law states that anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. And that guy has followed me my entire career. So I know it's followed Mr. Larry, and he might come after some of y'all too. So just be ready for Murphy. You have to be strong to do this job. You ain't got to look like an Adonis, and you ain't got to look like me. You know what I'm saying? But you do have to be in shape. Yes, I know round is a shape. I am round. But I tell guys day one, days of bonbons on the couch are over, baby. It's time to hit the gym. I have to be able to perform at optimal performing levels to be an asset to my partner and to my patients and my crews. Why? Well, because your liabilities on the fire grounds and on the EMS box are my liabilities. If you are one Twinkie away from a heart attack, you are a liability to me. If you are not strong enough to help me restrain this psych patient who wants to chew my face off, then you are a liability to who? Me and whoever else you work with. So moving forward, we're going to talk about EMS systems, history of EMS, roles and responsibilities, quality improvement, patient safety, junk like that. The importance of EMS research, data collection, evidence-based decision making. This is good stuff. Public health, and you are a public health officer. That's one of the weird things about being a paramedic or an EMT is you've got so many labels on you. First responder, public health officer, infectious control, what's the other one? Healthcare worker. I mean, there's so many things that just, you're such a unique entity as a EMT or a paramedic. That's right, I'm drinking again. Sue me. The V8. Good. All right, our text is going to be the primary source for what we're doing here. However, big however, registry will tell you straight up, not one source of any textbook can prepare you adequately for registry. So this means that I know John Stafford, their old beardy locks, I know he has been YouTubing things and Googling things. That's what I need for you to be. Hey, be the skeptic. Research things yourself. If I say something stupid, hey, call me out on it. Let me know so I can be better too. I will not take offense. Again, I mean, with different instructors and different state guidelines. It could be, we could say something contrary to what's in your text, so bring it to my attention if there's a discrepancy there. We'll go over it together. So that being said, your book's gonna be your main source of, information, but I ain't saying you don't need to watch podcasts and read and research. And if there's anything you don't understand, make it a flashcard, bro. A flashcard is a fantastic way, guarantee that you will start to commit that to memory. Let's keep going. Now, what is an EMS system? We're not just talking about you, the EMT, or the paramedic. We're talking about a whole gaggle of folks here. Let's take a look at the picture here. I'm gonna go ahead and get my little righty thing. Annotation. So we got old white shirt over here doing his thing, pretending to look busy. Supervisor. Just kidding. Love y'all. But he's over here, directing traffic. We got fire department dudes over here doing their extrication gig. EMS paramedic guy over here, right? So we got a lot of stuff going on here. It's not just one dude doing one thing. It ain't just one EMS ambulance crew on scene. When we're talking about an EMS system, we're talking about PD, the fire department. We're talking about the EMS responding units. We're talking about the hospital staff. We're a part of an EMS system. And I'll tell you, to be a good partner, to me, one of the things I look for is somebody that knows the territory, somebody that knows where they're going, what they're doing, how to be an assistant to me. If I'm in the back of the truck with a sick patient, I don't have the time to be turning around and telling you where to go all the time. You need to know your system, your roads, your area, your geography. You need to know this stuff. It's part of your job. When I first moved to the Atlanta area, I was lost. My God, I was lost. It's a big old city. I'm from South Georgia. I'm from a small town in South Georgia, Andersonville, Georgia. There's like 300 people there. The big city to me was America. It's like 10 minutes up the road where there's like 30,000 people. That was my experience. I knew every road like the back of my head. Atlanta was huge to me. And working at Grady was like, this is a bit daunting. So what did I do? I took my personal vehicle and I rode the streets. And I would look around and I would make connections it didn't happen overnight, but I made it my personal mission to learn where I was going. What's the quickest ways to get to hospitals? Of course, nowadays you also have GPS and blah, 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 but you also need to know where you're going in case you can't get to your phone or it dies or Murphy comes and gets you. Knowing your healthcare system is not just knowing roads and how to get to places. As an EMT, you need to know when to take people to certain hospitals. A bad trauma patient needs to go where? The trauma center, where they have specialized care for that. A stroke patient needs to go where? To a stroke center. So what? So they can get their appropriate care. A patient having a heart attack, they need what? A chest pain center. So not only is it your job to know your area, your streets, your state laws, but it's your job also to know where to take your patients to receive optimal care. You're part of a larger team that responds to a wide range of calls. I'm talking about a huge range of calls you can't even imagine. There are calls that you'll go to that are atypical, that are not in this book, that are not on your protocol list, and you're going to have to think critically. You're going to have to think outside the box, and you're going to have to do what's best for your patient. What if Murphy's Law hits again and you can't get somebody on the phone? What is best for my patient? I know one time I had a psych patient that was trying to, again, eat my partner's face off. And I couldn't get him on the phone. So I just went ahead and sedated him. Oh, well. Better to ask forgiveness and permission. Better to do that and, my partner lose his face. But for the most part, whenever we're going to be in a situation that's atypical, we need to make some phone calls. Call your supervisor. Call your med control. Get some outside opinion. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of humility. I'd rather you be humble and not knowing something than you trying to figure it out and do something stupid, right? There's a lot less punitive issues for you if you just, hey, I don't know. Even as a paramedic with over a decade of experience in every facet of EMS, I have worked rural, flight, I have worked big city, I've done critical care medicine. There's been times I didn't know what I was doing. And that's okay to make a phone call. It is completely okay to make a phone call. It's not okay to sit on your thumbs and just hope it gets better. I'm thinking of that meme on Facebook. Hey God, me again. So, moving on. I gotta stop that. There we go. All right, so as you complete this course, you will be able to take the EMT exam, the National Registry EMT exam. All right, which is great. We need you. We need licensed bodies out there. But you got to know if your state is a national register state or if it has its own exam. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Georgia, they listen to national registry. To be a EMT or paramedic in Georgia, you have to pass national registry. They used to have a state test, not anymore. National registry does all the work for them. So that means that you will have to pass a certification exam. That is not a license to practice in Georgia. You will still have to apply for state licensure. There's a difference in certification and licensure. National registry certifies you saying, hey, he can at least not kill anybody. All right. And then you got state licensure, where the state of Georgia gives you a license to practice as an EMT. After you pass registry, you apply for that state license to the state office of EMS. And if you have a clean background and have not murdered anybody lately, they will give you a license. So most states have 4 training levels: the EMR, the EMT, AEMT, and the paramedic. So the EMR is the emergency medical responder. That is the lowest level, but that doesn't mean it's the worst. So EMR is very useful. It can be very useful. We're talking about allowing an EMR to be on more ambulances and have more sway here in Georgia. I'm of 2 minds on that. As a paramedic, I want a partner that can actually do stuff to help me, but I hope you, I don't know if you know this, but we're at such a time as this that I'd rather have somebody show up than nobody. And we're at the time where, what if I call 911 and nobody shows up? That's exactly what's happening in the city of Atlanta right now. And we have people waiting 30, 45 minutes for an ambulance because there's just nobody to send. One of the reasons I decided to teach this class and be your instructor along with Mr. Larry is because it's a big class. I want to pump out some numbers for the state. We need bodies, but an EMR is better than nothing, but it's a start. Then you have EMT, AMT, and the paramedic. EMR is very basic, provides care for the ambulance arrives. It's usually a PD unit or maybe a volunteer first responder kind of thing. It's just, hey, I went and got a little bit of training. That way I could be helpful and know what to do and how to activate the system and not be in the way. You know, sometimes, though well-intentioned, bystanders can be in the way. And I'm like, hey, hold this sign and get it, stand over there with it. Stay out my way. However, an EMR has at least had very basic training to know how to be an asset instead of something else. Right? So there we are. An EMT, has training in basic life support. And before we talk about paramedics and all the great stuff they can do and how cool they are, paramedics are. EMT, I don't want you to scoff at humble beginnings. I have gotten some ROSCs in my career, which is a return of spontaneous circulation. Somebody was dead, now they ain't. And I promise you, all the fancy stuff as a paramedic I can do, it helped. But the BLS stuff, the basics is what saved lives. It's what brings people back. Simple basic stuff. And I promise you guys, if you master these basics, you will be a very strong EMT and an amazing asset to your paramedic partner if you can master these basics. So things like knowing how and when to use your defibrillation device, airway adjuncts, assisting patients with medications, and being a good support system for your paramedic. My partner at Grady was Rusty Watson. I love Rusty to death. He was one of the best. I would never say this to his face though. But he was one of the best EMTs I ever worked with. And I promise you, we ran some crap together. I mean, some deep, dark crap. And I would run any call in the world with him because I trusted him so much. I mean, seriously, I would hold out my hand and he would know what equipment to put into it because I didn't have to tell him. because we were on such of one mind and one accord, and we had continuity built between us as partners. Your goal as an EMT is to be that good of a partner for your paramedic, to give them confidence that I can trust this person. They're going to do what they need to do and help me with anything I can run into. Sometimes we don't know what we're running into. I may have been called for a fall, but oops, cardiac arrest. All right, yeah, it's just a lift assist. Oh, he's dead, or he's seizing. You just never know. The people that call our dispatch centers, they don't know what they're looking at. They see what they see. Oh, he fell out. Well, he fell out because he's dead. Because somebody shot him. Well, he naturally fell out. Well, naturally, when you're hit by a bullet, you will fall over. So there's that. AEMT. I gotta tell you, man, an AEMT is a very useful individual. They can start IVs, they can hang drips, they can administer a huge number of drugs, and they are very useful. There are lots of services that utilize BLS trucks because there's most of the calls we run are BLS in nature. So an AEMT is a very useful individual, the advanced EMT. Some of y'all are going to want to go to finish your EMT B and go straight to paramedic. That's a big jump. Real big jump. There are definitely people with two minds on this. I have two minds on it because, yeah, I got two minds on it. I mean, I believe sharks are born swimming. I really do. I believe if you got it, you got it. And that was my story. I am the lead paramedic instructor for the Atlanta Fire Department. I got a degree in emergency medicine. I'm finishing my bachelor's in emergency management right now. And I am a critical care flight medic. And I was just a firefighter when I went through paramedic school. There was a fast track program at Darton College in South Georgia. I did 62 credit hours in 1 year. I'm talking about 20 credit hours a semester. It sucked, but I did it. And I've been, not to pat myself on the back at all, but I've had a very successful career. And I've loved every minute of it. I went from zero to hero, baby. So my mind, you got it, you got it. That's not to say I didn't make mistakes. Looking back, I do realize the benefit of going through, I was an EMTI, but going through AEMT training and spending some time, at least a year as an EMT, it would have been beneficial. It wouldn't have been so many growing pains for me as a young paramedic. I'd have known the lingo, and I'm going to tell you one thing. I came out of school thinking everybody talked like me. My instructor made us talk with the biggest, most complicated medical terms. So if I'm saying, hey, let's talk about this patient with laryngotracheal bronchitis, they're like, huh? What do you say? Croup, man, it's croup. But nobody talked it like that. We had switched out of 10 codes. We were using plain talk. And I can tell you now that communication is not key. Comprehension is key. You have to be able to talk so people can understand you. If I'd been an EMT for a little while first, I might have known some of that. But to each his own. Everybody's got to chart their own path in life. I'm of two minds on it. I can't help that. What about the paramedic? Extensive ALS training, including endotracheal intubation. I can shove a tube down your throat. Oh boy. Emergency pharmacology. I can give all kinds of drugs. Cardiac monitoring. I've been taught to read telemetry. I'm not a cardiologist by any means, but I know when things are bad and abnormal and what to do about them. And other advanced assessments and treatment skills. There's a lot of patho, a lot behind being a paramedic. And EMT school, guys, we're in this for 16 weeks. It's a lot. But paramedic school is a year to a year and a half, and some programs are 2 years. And it's still like drinking from a fire hose. It is a tremendous amount of information, understanding the pathophysiology, anatomy, and all this extensive disease processes in pharmacology and airway management. There's a lot to it. And I would say it's a marathon. Paramedic school is a marathon. What you guys are doing is a sprint. And if you can't handle this, you would never be able to handle paramedic school. It would be detrimental to you. So again, please sacrifice the time for the next 14 weeks. Please make this work. We need good providers, not ones that are trying to just skate on through. So, EMT course includes 4 learning activities: reading assignments, lecture presentation, classroom discussions. I'm giving you a lot of reading this week. Your book is your source of facts and figures. Your instructors, myself and Mr. Larry, we are your context. I am your experience. My job is to throw you pearls of wisdom, warn you of the perils and pitfalls that you could fall into. I'm giving you my experience. I touched the stove. It was hot. Ow. I'm telling you not to touch the stove so you could be better than I was, and I am. My goal is for you to be stronger, faster, smarter provider than I was. And my job and goal now is to try and leave EMS better than I found it. I love it. And now that you are in the family and you're going to be EMTs, you are my brothers and my sisters. And that is the case. I want you to be better than me. So my job is to give you the facts, figures, context, facilitate you to be in scenario-based critical thinking activities so you can get stronger and be good at this stuff. Reading assignments, I'm going to give you a lot of reading. Lectures, we're doing one now. Classroom discussions. I love the Socratic method. I don't know about you guys but I've enjoyed our classroom discussion boards. I've enjoyed reading them. I've enjoyed hearing some of y'all's responses. But what I'm kind of disappointed in is like, none of you are actually discussing anything. You're trying to find polite ways to agree with your classmates so you can meet your 200-word quota that I set forth. And nobody's like really discussing anything like a difference of opinions and really delving into it. So I'm a bit disappointed in you, to be honest. We're going to give you step-by-step demonstrations. I'm going to show you how to do crap in this classroom. When we meet for labs, I'm going to spend 4 or 5 hours labbing you up. I'm going to show you how to do things, how to do it, when to do it. I'm going to tell you why. I believe if I tell you the why, you'll retain it and keep it forever. We've got skill summary sheets, case presentations, scenarios. We've got lots of stuff to play with, lots of goodies. EMTs are the backbone of the EMS system. There are like 2 or 3 times more EMTs than there are paramedics. Paramedic school is hard. It's a marathon. But also, there's just more abundantly EMTs everywhere. Your job is to provide care for the sick and injured. Requirements are different from state to state. Mainly, most of the time, you have to have at least a high school diploma. Proof of immunization. Now that's a kind of a loaded thing right there nowadays, huh? Are you immunized? Have you had your vaccine? I want to tell you now, if I've never said it before, but the EMS classroom is Switzerland. We do not debate things like that. Successful completion of a background check. Drug screening. Don't do crack. There, I said it. You can't be an EMT and do crack. And a valid driver's license. So that's, I don't care. Americans Disability Act. If you've got some type of disability, we can give you some accommodation. We can modify the work environment. We can figure some stuff out. I told some of you guys a story about a guy that used to work here that now works on the streets of Atlanta, and he's one bad mamma jamma paramedic. And he's got a I wouldn't even call it a disability. He's a special person there. And he don't let it stop him. I mean, he's a fantastic paramedic, and he's very independent. He handles his business. I respect that a lot. Whole bunches. All right, so the history of EMS. So war is what gave EMS its origin story. Going back even further than what this thing's telling you, Napoleon's physician was Baron Jean Loret. This is back in like the 1700s, man. This is way on back. And this dude was a surgeon, and he was like, hey, those guys over there are dying and bleeding to death. They've been shot. We should probably send somebody to get them and bring them here. Thus, the ambulance idea was born. It was revolutionary. So then after that, pretty much every military unit had some type of medical, some type of medical unit that would go out and get people and deliver them to surgeons faster. I can tell you now, trauma is a surgical disease. I'm gonna say that 1,000 times during our little time together because I want you to understand, trauma is a surgical disease. Trauma needs to be in front of a trauma surgeon. You need to minimize your own scene time, grab these people, stabilize, and get moving. I don't need Rescue Randy on scene trying to do something special and funny. There's bleeding on the inside. He needs a trauma surgeon. What about a broken leg? Yes, I can splint it, but I cannot set it. I need it set by a physician. I need to immobilized so no other injury occurs. I need to use some pain medication to knock it out. That's a paramedic thing, not you EMT. But I need to make sure that I'm handling that type of business and getting out of there. So as we learned in these war-torn areas, we need to get hurt people to medical people. Thus, EMS is born. Now, we did find in the 1960s, hey, people are dying on the highways. Thus was born the accidental death and disability, the neglected disease of modern society. This was known as the white paper. The white paper pretty much said, hey, there's people dying on the highways and there's nobody to go get them. All right. Thus, EMS is further born. What does that mean? It means that we initially sent people in hearses with no medical training. Hey, you hurt? Yeah. Get in. And that's what happened. Then they found like, hey, if we send people with some medical training out to get these hurt and sick people, they have a higher chance of living. Hey, what an idea. Thus, the curriculum for EMT was born in the early 70s. And my co-instructor here that you've all met or seen, Mr. Larry, was one of the first paramedics ever trained in the state of Georgia. His paramedic number is 11. Mine is 11,014. It's 11. He was there in the 70s and he was trained then. Isn't that cool? So as time goes by, we have more things to develop. Medical Services Act was initiated where we would all have access to funding to create our own EMS service. But even today, not everybody's got EMS services or they have a volunteer service. There are some small little areas that are unincorporated that do not have their own EMT or ambulance service. There's a few here in Georgia, volunteer services where people have to get up out of their own bed at 3 in the morning to go help somebody they don't know. You somebody labor of love. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been paid at least a little bit of money to do what I've been doing as a paramedic now for the last 12 years. Do that as a volunteer, my God. But what I hate seeing and hearing is disappearing volunteerism. I love the city of Atlanta. I really enjoy working in it. I enjoyed Forsyth County. I enjoyed Macon County a lot, but I grew up in Sumter County, Georgia. And that was my home. And I believe, guys, that if you're going to be an EMT or paramedic, you need to not only work and think about being an asset to where you work at, but also where you live at. You know, if there's a chance to volunteer and be a use, do it. My goal is for all you to be either BLS CPR instructors and get out there and get that public education going. We'll save so many more lives if people just knew how to act during an emergency. And you guys can be a part of that. You can go out there and change the standard. Anybody can save a life. I had a 4-year-old girl call 911 on her mama who had overdosed on heroin. We arrive in time to administer Narcan, which is a opioid antagonist, and it reverses the effects of the heroin. The heroin would knock out the respiratory drive and they will stop breathing and they will become hypoxic and die. But because of the local EMS and fire departments going to the schools or the pre-K or whatever, this 4-year-old knew to call 911. And she was able to get help out there, her mama, a 4-year-old. So I really believe in getting out there and pushing that public education component of this thing. So the first book that ever came out, the AOS published the first EMT book in 71. You guys have the AOS book. It's called the Orange Book. That thing's been around for 50 years. Y'all have the 50th anniversary edition. Now, obviously the material has been updated through the years. It's not the same stuff, but still, it's pretty cool. All right, so let's see. These are some more things that have happened through the years. Standardization efforts. We're trying to standardize. Why do you want to standardize? We want everybody to be on the same page. We can't have these guys over here being super high performers and you over here just sucking at life. So we're trying to put everybody on the same page to make the people that perform minimally get up to at least a good standard where we can all be on the same page. So in the 90s, we had the National Highway Traffic Safety Act's EMS Agenda for the Future. And in 2019, we had a new one, EMS Agenda for the Future for 2050. So in the next 20-something, 30 years, we got some goals that we want to meet as in EMS. We're regulated by the federal, state, and local level. I want you to know that there is a national EMS scope of practice that provides guidelines. That does not mean you can do everything that they say at your state. Your state laws and state medical director decide which set of protocols they want you to be able to do. And that is even further regulated by your local medical director. Let's say I work at Central EMS's 911 over there in Forsyth County. I get off shift and go to my second job over at Grady Memorial Hospital and run 911 calls in Atlanta. I do not have the same scope of practice or set of protocols. So I need to know my protocols and what my federal guidelines are, my state laws and regulations are, and I need to know what my local level medical director has said I can do. You are an extension of your medical director. You are an extension of your medical director, which means what? That you are going to do what their protocols say you can do. Does that mean that they're always cut and dry, black and white, left and right? No. Atypical situations occur every day. And as an EMT or paramedic, you have to learn how to operate sometimes in the gray. It's not always black and white. You have to learn how to work in the gray. I can promise you that you will run calls that you have never heard of, never thought possible. And you'll just have to do what's best for your patient. If you get stuck, hey, I know most of y'all ain't more than a foot away from your phone. Look at it. Hey, help me. This is going on. Cool, I'm gonna do that. I do that. And then on my documentation, per Dr. John Stafford, I did this. It gives you access to advanced medical advisory, but also gives you access to passing the buck, which means we are going to shift liability. Hey, that doctor told me to do it. That's not complete protection, but it will help. So the hierarchy of the 2019 EMS Scope Model. We've got the National EMS Scope of Practice, medical direction, and state offices all trying to work together to provide guidelines, training, different levels of training, and how to build working relationships in the EMS community. About public BLS and immediate aid. Millions of lay people are trained in BLS CPR, but that's not enough. I actually wrote a paper about this. Basically, the last numbers I had, and this is last year, but about 10,000 cardiac arrests occur in the workplace per year, right? And a lot of these occur without people knowing how to do CPR, and they occur without access to an AED. If there is by-center CPR, according to the journal called Circulation that American Heart puts out, it's a journal they put out a lot, and it has facts and figures about CPR in it. If there is a lay person that does CPR, it raises the percentage of chance of getting a person back up to 47%. What does that mean? Okay. That means that if there is a just average Joe, oh no, bro, you done fell out. You don't have a pulse, man. Let's start CPR and call 911, bro. Totes. So what has happened is I have initiated CPR. I've got advanced care coming and transport coming to take them to the hospital, but I am acting as an artificial mechanical pump for this patient's heart so I can circulate that still oxygenated blood throughout their body. If that happens, there is a 47% higher likelihood of that patient surviving. I promise you that if I could give your loved one a 1% chance of surviving a catastrophic cardiac arrest, you would want it for them. And if we can make it 47%, if you will, mute your mics for me, If I can make it 47%, I dang sure would. So I encourage every one of you to become CPR instructors and give it away. Yes, you could charge and make money for it, and I ain't trying to get in nobody's hustle. However, Picasso said, find what your gift is and give it away. I do a lot of CPR classes, and I will continue to do them for as many people as I can. Give it away. That might be your loved one that somebody, some bystander that knows CPR performs on. It's a small world. EMS conference speaker named Rami Duckworth. I enjoy his work and his content. His grandma went to cardiac arrest, and the fire crew, EMS crew, and the hospital staff that worked his grandmother had all been trained in CPR and ACLS by who? Rami Duckworth. It's a small world, folks. It could happen. So we need to be involved in that in our communities. Your days of just being a layabout kind of person are over. If you see an emergency, you're now going to be an EMT. You will have training that could help mitigate these circumstances. If somebody is shot, you will know how to apply a tourniquet and stop the bleed and keep them alive. Are you going to sit on the wayside? Or are you going to do something about it? You joined EMT school, which tells me that you're not a layabout layperson. You're built of different stuff. So that tells me that you want to be a doer. So if that's the case, we need to increase the amount of people that have CPR training, that have stop the bleed training, that have basic CPR and basic first aid stuff going on. You can be a part of that. All right, so emergency medical responders, this could be officers, firefighters. They initiate immediate care before EMTs get there. They want to focus on providing BLS and urgent care with limited equipment. EMT courses, they range from about 150 to 200 hours. Yours is a good 160 something, I think. You got some knowledge and skills. You can provide basic care. Your responsibilities include assessment, care, packaging, and transport of these patients. That's your job. Assessment, care, packaging, and transport. Assessment being what? I'm going to take a history on you, find out what kind of medical history you got, what your complaint is, and I'm going to work off of what you tell me and what I see to treat the symptoms that you have going on. That's the goal. So afterwards, we have you packaging, which is putting the patient on the stretcher. If they've been in a trauma, we want to, of course, bandage them or stop their bleeding or whatever that is, and then transport to the appropriate facility. What is the appropriate facility? Well, again, for trauma patients, they need to go to a trauma hospital. For your, let's say, stroke patients, they need to go to a stroke center where they can get the care they need. These are facts. All right, advanced EMTs, they can do IVs, airway adjuncts, limited number of medications. We've already talked about that. And here's your paramedics. It's up to 1,000 to 1,300 hours in the classroom and in internships. Paramedics classes I just finished at the college, it was about 1,300, and I think it was about 1,300 hours for my fire department one that I teach. It's a lot of hours in class, a lot of hours on the trucks, in the hospital. We try and give you a rotation in every floor possible. We send students to the ICU, to labor and delivery, to the ER, to the psych ward. We're trying to give you a broad education here, So that's the goal. That's the plan. So there's components to the EMS system. What are these components? We want to provide comprehensive, quality, convenient care. Comprehensive as we're going to cover it all, head to toe, quality, convenient care. We're going to give you our best that we can. Evidence-based clinical care. Evidence-based medicine is the way forward. You'll probably start your career and hear people like, I know it's big at the fire department. We've always done it this way. Well, it's wrong. So get with the new program, Skippy. Just because you've always done it don't mean it's the best way. It may have hurt people in the past. We found out over the last couple of years that a curved body and a straight board causes a lot of problems for some people. So we don't spine board everybody unless they meet criteria to actually need it. It can hurt them more if it's just put on willy-nilly. Efficient, well-rounded care. Preventative care. How do we do preventative care? By public education. A lot of the patients we pick up, they're not stupid. They just don't have medical training. One of our students is a mechanical engineer student. He's not stupid. He just don't have medical training. And what else is there? I don't know jack about mechanical engineering. If I go in there and I have questions about it, I'm going to seem like a child in a candy shop. I mean, I'm not going to know what I'm saying. So what kind of preventative care are we talking about? Perhaps doing free blood pressure screenings at the county fair, or having people, hey, give them that good quality advice. Hey, you were lucky this time, but maybe you should go see your primary doctor. If you don't want to go to the hospital, move fine, but you need to go to urgent care, or you need to do this, or maybe you should get that looked at. or going to the county fair and doing some blood draws and lipid panels. And hey, your cholesterol's pretty high there, buddy. Do you know about how to care for your cardiac care? Do you know about dieting and exercise and blah, blah, blah? It can make an impact. It can make an impact. Well, I won't reach many people like that. If I could go and reach 1 out of 100, I would still do it for the 1. If any of you, my students, fall behind and need some extra help, I will leave the 99 for the 1. So I just have to know that you need that extra help. What if you are that 1? What if you just didn't know about diet and exercise and preventative care? Things that you could do simply at home to increase your lifespan and quality of life. Would you want that? You would. So I don't care if it's for 10 or for that 1. Go do it. Sometimes we plant seeds. I plant the seed. It's not my job to let it grow. I don't have to grant the increase. So boom, there's the seeds. Comprehensive and easily accessible patient records. Next. 911 system. Access public safety. So the 911 system was first activated in 1968. In 1968, I think it was the senator in Alabama. He made the first 911 call in Haleyville, Alabama. There, in my head, Haleyville, Alabama. You can Google that if you want. I did a long time ago. But for the greater part of the 20, 30 years after that, not everybody had access to 911. It's only in the mid to late 90s that 100% of the country had access to 911. Some of these hick towns or the farther deeper in the mountains of Virginia you go, they did not have access to 911. I ain't going in there. They ain't got no teeth. Some heels have eyes stuff going on. I ain't doing it. But now everybody's got access to 911. What do your dispatchers do? Well, besides get things wrong, annoy me. I think that one of y'all's a dispatcher, aren't you? Aren't you? Knew it. All right, so dispatchers obtain information and they dispatch resources. They manage the logistics. If it sounds like I need the National Guard and the cavalry and the fire department and the police and this and this and this, they're gonna send it all. If it sounds like it just, hey, that sounds like a police matter, let's send them. Oh, that's definitely need an ambulance. We're gonna send that. So they do a great job of providing medical instructions also to the layperson. If you've never had CPR training, they'll try and talk you through it. If you are having chest pain, they will do what? Oh, my back itches. They will try and tell you to take some aspirin or something else. There also are mobile apps that can assist with that. Which one of y'all comment in the chat? Let's see. Offended by dispatcher comment. Oh, I don't care. Get over it. I ain't put you in dispatch. So where are we at? Mobile app, move in. Has anybody got any kind of questions so far? Or is this pretty straightforward stuff? Ooh, I like it. So human resources. We have internal and external customers. Our external customers are our patients that we run calls on. You are to treat these people like family. Let's see. Mic up for somebody. Zarina, can your mic cut on and talk to me for a second?
I can.
Look at you being all grown up and stuff. All right, so you have children?
I have 2, but I currently have 9 in my home right now. You want one?
No, I got plenty at the house. I'm good. So if I pick up your child while they're back there with me, that is my child, how hard would you fight for the life of your child?
I'd give my own life.
I know, right? You'd fight tooth and nail, possibly give your own life. EMS, fire, police, military, sometimes we are put in some dangerous situations. Dangerous situations so others may have a chance. If I pick up her child, he's my child while he's back there with me. That's the mindset of the medic. The medic mindset, the EMT mindset is that. Human resources, our external customers are our patients. We treat them like family. I don't care how tired you are or how aggravated you are. Mason, it sounds like if you're going to treat my patients like crap, you need to go take some vacation time or maybe find another field to be in. Walmart will always need greeters. McDonald's is hiring. Starbucks is hiring. Somebody needs to go work at that dang, what's that place I was trying to go to? Firehouse Subs. I want to go there and eat. Nobody in there to work. I didn't get my Firehouse. Offended. Just kidding. But that's the mindset. My external customers, there is a customer service component to treating these patients. I have been nice to people who have spit in my face. I have had people punch me, kick me. I had an old man diabetic who punched me in the mouth. Do I need to show him how much of a man I am? How about some of that? You think he cares? No, he's a diabetic and he was not in his right mind. He was in an adult altered mental state because his sugar was low. I don't have to prove to him how much of a man I am. I don't take it personally. We are here to be objective providers. Recognize the term objective from your discussion post this week. So our job is to be objective providers, which means while I have personal beliefs, they do not come to work with me and I do not force them on others. I am here as a caring, compassionate human being. And from bankhead to buckhead, I treat everyone the same. Now, what does that mean? Bankhead to buckhead. Who wants to answer the question for me? In the city of Atlanta, the Buckhead district is the rich, hoity-toity, I got money to blow district. Bankhead. You can probably go there and buy the best homegrown, non-GMO organic meth you've ever thought about getting your hands on. So big disparity in the socioeconomic platform here, right? But whether you got on $1,000 Jordans or some slip-on slippers, treat you all the same. That's the medic mindset that I want you to adopt day one. So keep that in mind. Medical direction authorizes EMTs to provide the medical care in the field. They authorize what you can do. To perform a skill, you need training and authorization from your medical director to do so. Your medical director acts as a liaison. There are standing orders and protocols. Standing orders are what? The protocol book. Your protocol book will look something like, I don't know, it's a little book. I don't have one to be a good example. It'd be stupid if I brought anything else up here. So it's a little book with all the crap you can do in it. In the city of Atlanta, I got a hard copy I kept in my work bag. I always had that thing with me. I ain't gonna go and cook you no roast without the recipe book. I'm not gonna play this game without the playbook. Now, do I know that thing back to back, cover to cover? Yes. As a person who takes extreme ownership of my job as a paramedic, I know that thing back to back. I even teach protocol classes. But if I pick up Zarina's child, I'm not going to cut corners. I'm going to measure twice and cut once. What does that mean? I'm still going to look in the protocol book to verify, to double, triple check that I'm giving the appropriate doses for her child. Because I am humble. I am thorough. So you have standing orders that you can go off of. Now, what are kind of other things we can talk about? Med control can be offline or online. Your offline med control is those standing orders, that book, that your training, your supervisor, or whatever. Now, online medical control, what does that mean? Hey, man, I'm stuck here. What's going on? I got this and this going on. Please help. I got this kind of drug in here. You think that's a good idea? You do? I thought so too. Just wanted to run it by you. What was that name again? Oh, Dr. O'Brien. I like it. Thank you, sir. Per Dr. O'Brien, I'm doing this. And then I do this. Your online medical direction is when you get a physician on the phone to help you make decisions. Now, your job as the EMT or paramedic is to do what? Paint them the best picture possible. They are not there in front of that patient. You are. Your assessment skills will help them understand the situation so they can give you the best advice possible. Best advice possible. Everybody with me so far?
Quick question about protocol, and just because you were talking about opioids and Narcan earlier, are EMTs allowed to give Narcan, or is that a paramedic thing in Georgia?
You know, there is a really stupid, uh, so let's say this, an EMT cannot give, here in Georgia, cannot give Benadryl, right? But I can go to the store and buy it and give it to whoever I want, right? It depends on your local protocol, but I can tell you right now in the city of Atlanta, their EMTs cannot give Narcan. EMT Bs cannot give Narcan. They also cannot start IVs. So, but a
Gotcha.
cop, but a lot of these police forces, they got a whole buckets of Narcan that they're just, oh, look, a diabetic patient. Maybe he's overdosed on narcotics. Boop, boop. They're just Narcan everybody. But here, a untrained non-medical personnel police officer can give it. I didn't say
That's
it
why I
made
was
sense.
asking.
I know where your mind's at. And I'm on board. I didn't say it made sense. I just said, this is the facts. Does that answer your question, John?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. I didn't say it made sense, folks. We are in a position where we probably need to talk about, not us, but state officials need to talk about maybe increasing the scope of the EMT B. Perhaps instead of including a new EMR being on 911 ambulances, we should include increasing the scope of the EMT B to give things like Narcan or some over-the-counter crap, or maybe even starting an IV. I think that would be more beneficial, but maybe I'm a bit biased. I don't know, perhaps. Anyway, training protocols and practices follow state legislation. Senior EMS officials handle administrative tests like scheduling, personal, budget, purchasing, vehicle maintenance. I had a student call me the other day about a truck that he was in. It was hot and it had no AC. That is illegal. You do not transport patients in that. We do not transport patients in that. One of the first things you'll learn about dealing with an environmental emergency, which is a patient that is too hot or too cold, is that you have to be able to regulate the environment. Let's say it's a patient that's too hot. I need to be able to lower the temperature of that patient by putting them in a cold environment, such as the back of my ambulance that is now regulated by air conditioning. If it ain't have any, I don't transport patients. This unit is out of service. Not only is it illegal, it's unethical. Unethical to expect me as a paramedic to be back there and have me some swamp booty going on too. I don't want to be back there and be hot either. Yeah, I can roll the window down. I bet you got a supervisor trying to tell you to do that. Yeah, I ain't just rolling the window. You can put me in something else. I am not trying to be antagonistic. I'm not trying to be adversarial, but this is a state law. And I hate doing it, but I've had to go toe to toe with supervisors in the past myself because of this kind of stuff. All they see is ones and zeros. I see a patient and mine and my partner's own health. So free food for thought. Ooh, that might be a good discussion. So integration, meaning what? John, what you got? What does integration mean?
It's just I guess it's just everybody working together, from EMTs and paramedics, even other first responders like firefighters and police, to the nurses and the staff in the ER, and, the surgeons and doctors that might treat a severely ill patient later on.
Dadgum, did you read ahead or something? That was good. I like it. Integration is we all work together. What if I got a problem with John on scene? He's a fire department guy and he's gonna piss me off. Do I sit there and call him an idiot right there in front of the patient, God, and everybody? The answer is no. This is not an opportunity for me to beat my chest. If I got a problem with John, I will talk to him after the call, respectfully and professionally, and tell him my point of view. Hey, John, I know that you was doing this on scene, and I know that where your heart was at, you want to do the right thing, but this is actually the state law. Come here, take a look at this. And I wanted to talk to you about it so that way next time we can work more cohesively together. It is not an opportunity for me to beat my chest and tell him how much smarter I am than him. When we integrate, we realize that it's not about us. I can promise you, your patient don't care what patch you have on your shoulder, whether you work for Metro Atlanta or AMR or Central or Grady or who the hell ever. Your patient does not care. So integration is ensuring comprehensive and continuity of care going from our ambulance to the ER. That partly is in charge, you're in charge of that by making sure it goes smoothly. smoothly across the board, smoothly across the board. So the method of delivering mobile integrated healthcare. So in a nutshell, what is mobile integrated healthcare? Well, the model for EMS, when most of us think about an EMT or a paramedic, we think of an ambulance going to pick somebody up that's sick or hurt. However, that is not the model that is in the future. We've got a lot of different non-traditional career tracks available here in EMS. Some of us have talked about search and rescue EMS stuff, that wilderness medicine stuff. That does sound exciting and fun. That is a career track. Going and get a contract on an oil rig is a career path. Taking overseas contracts in military occupied zones, they pay big money. Working in the ER or in urgent care, they pay big money. Becoming a flight medic, big money. Wildland firefighter EMT, there it is. Deploying with the disaster relief team and going to hurricanes and evacuating people and doing emergency rescue and first aid and blah, blah, blah. I've done that. It's fun if you're under 6 foot tall, which I am not. I did not have a good time. The shower was like hit me in the chest and the bed was like this big. I was not a fan. But for some people, it'd be like a hell of a time. So also we have the mobile integrated healthcare system, which is different. Grady does this, Clayton County does this. I'm not sure anybody else who does this else in the state of Georgia. There might be others, but I think Spalding Regional does it too. But basically what's happening is a paramedic responds in an SUV to a non-emergency call. A lot of times we in EMS get called for things that are not exactly life or death emergencies. And when we go there, we tie up that resource of an ambulance. So somebody down the street's getting shot and bleeding to death, and I'm here with, Granny and her stubbed toe. And while Granny does need help, she doesn't quite need an ambulance and transport to the ER per se. So we could send Zarina in an SUV to patch that toe up right there and say howdy doody and be out of there. So that's an option for that is a new kind of thing coming out and around and about. So that just says more about the community paramedicine component. This can also save a lot of money for communities and give EMS providers other things that they can do. Like as we age, things get harder. I know that some of the elderly paramedics that still like treating patients but can't really lift the stretcher anymore do well on an SUV just treating patients right there at their house. You can get advanced training to be a service within your community. And I might be wrong about this, so don't quote me about it, but the first year that one of those podunk counties down in middle Georgia did this, I think it was Spalding Regional, I could be wrong. They had one paramedic on an SUV, and that first year alone, she saved Spalding Regional $100,000 in that first year because she was helping not tie up ambulances and keeping people out of the ER that were not exactly life or death emergencies. I could be wrong about the figures, but that's the one I read about. But still, that's pretty profound if it's true. All right, computer systems are used nowadays. Back in my day, and I wouldn't even say back in my day, but back in one of the podunk counties I started off in, Macon County. Yes, sorry, I'm calling you out, Macon County. They've come a long way since then, but we were doing our PCRs on paper. PCR stands for patient care report. Anytime we integrate or we get involved with a patient, I got to make a report about it. What was I called for? What did I see when I got there? What did I do about it? Where did I take them? What do I got now? Basic information. Back then we had to write it on a piece of paper, and that was our PCR. Nowadays it's all computerized, which is fantastic because it's easier accessed, it's stored, it's got you can make hard copies, you can make secondary copies or whatever. And fantastic thing about that is that it's easy. It's easier now for EMS researchers to find out the who, the what, the when, the why. Evidence-based medicine is finding the best medical practices going forward in EMS, which means if 9 times out of 10 this kills people, we don't do it. But if 9 times out of 10 this other thing has a positive outcome, we're gonna go with that. Evidence-based medicine is the evidence and the quantitative data is showing this is the best practice moving forward. So that is where that comes into play. Every call you run is part of EMS data retrieval. So evaluation, Your medical director is responsible for maintaining quality control. Your medical director is responsible for maintaining quality control. It might be a test question. I did y'all all a big favor. I made you a study guide for this week's test. If you read the book, if you listen to these lectures, if you get on your PSG learning and go through the material, you will be successful in this week's quiz. It will be the hardest one you've taken yet, but the answers are all there in the study guide. You just have to fill in the blanks. Adopting a just culture. What is a just culture? Hey, Carly, your mic work?
Yeah, you might hear a crying baby though.
I'm cool with that. I got plenty of them at home too. So tell me about what a just culture is in a nutshell, layman's terms. Break it down.
Just making people know that they're responsible for their actions.
Okay, so it makes the employees responsible for their behavioral choices by balancing fairness and accountability. I like it. So not only does it balance fairness and accountability, but it also makes it to where I don't have an issue bringing something forward because just culture will not allow management to target me for bringing an issue up. It makes sure that it's a fair process. Hey, I ain't trying to cause no waves, but this is a problem that we've had here. I'm just asking about some accountability on it. What's going on with this right here, right? So also it means that I like coming to work because I'm not going to be unfairly discriminated against. I'm not going to be, pushed aside and made to feel like I don't belong and stuff like that. There's a lot more to just culture than this page is saying. I do believe in it and like it a lot. Everybody should be happy coming to work. I will take a pay cut to be happy to go to work. I've done it before. I've taken a $22,000 pay cut to stop being the manager of a multi-million-dollar EMS operations company to just go run calls, and I was happier. But, that was my choice. Money does not buy happiness, folks. So, continuous quality improvement. What it add? So, even if we do something right, we need to check about why it's right, and we need to make it more right. Just because we have a 100% pass rate doesn't mean something couldn't be done better. So, like with you guys, we're doing a flipped classroom model. I like it a lot so far. I hope you guys do too. When we end this program, I'd like to know your real feedback. You don't have to fear any kind of reprisal or anything. I really want to know, how can I make this better? And that's an opportunity for me. Some people think of these things like criticism. Oh no, don't criticize me. You're giving me an opportunity to be better. I appreciate it. But what does quality improvement do? Reviews and performs audits of the EMS system to identify areas that need improvements or assign remedial training. What if our friend O'Brien, what if he makes a mistake? O'Brien, what if you make a mistake? Should I then come down on him with the band hammer? Or should I? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think we should review the mistake that he made and
About that?
Find a better way to approach the situation the next time around.
That was spoken very well, very professionally. Was you a manager somewhere? So he's right. I do not need to be punitive to O'Brien for doing something silly. He might have not have known better. Yeah, I need a better accent coach. So he might not have known better. It is not punitive. I shouldn't make remediation punitive. I should make it remediatory, and I should fix the holes in his game. We're all going to have stuff that pops up, something I could have done better. And they asked me what happened. Hey, this is what happened. Why did you do it this way? Well, this is what I saw on scene. We had no idea that the patient had this specific outcome because they had this special 1 in a million disease. There's no way for me to know that. He was unresponsive. That's fair. But I've had students come in that needed just a bit of remediation. Or I've had people that have been in the field that needed to come in for remediation. It's not punitive. We just need to make sure we're on the same page and we're following the most up-to-date evidence-based medical guidelines that are out there. Is everybody with me? Yes. All right, patient safety. Without reading this off the slide, let's talk about it. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want it to be my fault. So we want to minimize medical errors. Medical errors do occur. The human factor is involved. So there is a chance that a medical error can occur. So is it rule-based? Is it because of our EMS system that because of this rule, this happened? Is it knowledge-based? Is it just that this provider did not know? Or is it skill-based? Could they not just perform the minimal skill to be competent? Or is it a combination of them? This requires efforts from the EMS agency and you, the personnel. If I'm doing something stupid, have the guts to tell me I'm doing something stupid. I will not be offended or mad at you. I need to know. Hey, Josh, you probably shouldn't have yelled at that guy. Like, you pissed me off, but you're right, you're right. I mean, I was out of line. You know, just call it like we see it. It requires both the EMS agency and the EMS personnel. If you love something, you will tell it, be truthful about it. I don't like sometimes calling people out, but you know, if I see a spade, I'm calling it a spade. If I see, you know, something, I've got to voice it. You know, this is a problem. Here in the EMS world, we've had a problem the last couple of years with the mental health stigma. We've all had to be like super hyper masculine. You know, wrong me, shoo. Let's not talk about that dead kid I just ran who blew his brains out because he was playing with dad's gun and dad and his friends were playing poker and drinking, not watching him, and there's a gun on the ground. And then he shoots himself and I get there and there's only brain matter on the ground. I step in it. No, I don't need to talk. So breaking these stigma requires all of us. System finance. You like nice things? Personnel may be paid, volunteer, or a mix, but we have to gather information, get signatures, and obtain permission to build these people. A lot of you are working as drivers right now or whatever. We've got to build these people. Majority of you work for a private service, but even if you don't, it costs money to run these ambulances. What if you work for the fire department? They always operate at a loss. But does that mean that we shouldn't try to get paid for these services we're providing? Don't you like raises? Don't you like nice equipment? Nope, not going to debate that. I was going to get into a healthcare cost debate, and this is the EMS classroom at Switzerland. While I personally think that healthcare should be free, I do understand that, like, this is a private service that we're in today. We're talking about central EMS and, you know, priority and all that. They got to get paid. This guy ain't doing it for fun. He's doing it to make some money. He's also trying to provide a quality service for, you know, his constituents. I get it. And if you guys want raises and stuff, you will make sure that you're gathering information, getting signatures, and, you know, making sure that he gets paid. Now, when we get to documentation, I'm gonna tell you the truth. The truth will set you free. What does that mean? Ugh. Do not lie on documentation. Do not create falsehoods. Just document what happened. The truth is the truth. Put that there. So in 2020, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid implemented a pilot program called Emergency Triage, Treat, and Transport. It reimburses EMS Systems for providing the right patient care at the right time. It set up a payment model for patient transport to alternative destinations. Education systems. EMS instructors are licensed in most states. In the state of Georgia, to be an EMS instructor, you have to be trained to do it. You have to be interned to do it. You have to have the backing and the references to do it. They don't just let any old Joe off the street come and teach EMS classes. They used to, but now they do not. It's very well that they don't, because we don't want just somebody that's only got a year or two experience as a paramedic coming here and trying to teach you guys about their vast knowledge of EMS. You know, I believe that you will probably learn more from the mistakes I made than just all this book stuff. That's just me though. So I have to participate in Con Ed, refresher courses, learn computer-based or mannequin-based self-education exercises. I have to keep up my EMS education myself. Why is that? Well, because it's changing. Medicine changes every day, and we have to change with it. That means that this conference coming up here in a few months in Savannah, I'm going to, there's gonna be some new stuff there. I need to learn it and share it and disperse it. All right, prevention, we've already talked about. There's components of that. Emphasis on prevention, primary and secondary strategies for public health. Again, EMS outreach education is the key to that. So examples of public health accomplishments would be what? Vaccination programs, drinking clear water, helmet laws, sewage systems, restaurant inspections, things like that. EMS research helped determine the shape of EMS, where it's going, what it's doing. Then we got the EBM, evidence-based medicine, focuses on procedures that are proven useful in improving patient outcomes. I don't want to do it the way it's always been done. I want proven facts, figures. This is the best way for my patients and my communities. So what are the roles and responsibilities of an EMT? What it do? Keep the vehicles and equipment ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So stay ready. That truck should always be clean between calls, at the end of shifts, at the beginning of shifts. Your paramedic should help you do it while they're checking off their crap, their equipment. If I run a call and there's not something that's not on there because I didn't check it, that's on me. So I'm very thorough with my truck checkoffs. Also, why do I clean in between patients? Well, because of COVID and because of all of these other diseases and things that patients could catch. I don't want your family member to catch what that last patient had because I was just too lazy to clean. Ensuring safety speaks for itself. Be familiar with emergency vehicle operation. Know how to drive that thing. Provide on-scene leadership. One of the scariest things I ever had to do was to be a brand new paramedic on scene, highest medical license on scene, and I'm in charge of it all. Oh God. So it's important for you to know how to provide on-scene leadership. That ain't something I can teach you. I hate to say that, but I can't teach you that one. That comes with experience. I mean, somebody might have a contrary opinion. I do not. I believe that running a scene management, yeah, you can understand the basics, but really it comes with experience. I cannot teach you how to modulate your voice to control a scene. Hey, John, what you got there? Can you hand me that V8 right there? Thanks, buddy. Just the changing of your tone, going to different levels while being professional, but also being assertive and taking command of a scene. It's not something I can teach you. I will try my dangest, but it's going to have to come with experience. I feel that very strongly. Perform scene evaluation. Call for additional resources, knowing when you're in over your head. Hey, this is a bad thing. I need more people, more help, more bodies. He's a 500-pound man. I can't lift him by myself. I need more help. Or this car just rolled over. The trauma center is an hour and 40 minutes away. There's a helicopter that could be here in 5 and 10 minutes and can get them there in 20. That's a better option. Hey, dispatch, let me get a helicopter. Give me a bird in the air. Cool. Gain patient access. God, that is fun. Sometimes we have to break down doors. Sometimes we have to extricate from crushed up vehicles. Sometimes you have to crawl through a poopy sewage pipe to get some kid out of it. Ask me how I know. This is one of the reasons I want to tell you right now. Put an extra uniform in your car, for God's sake. Trust me. You'll find out why. Extra uniforms in your vehicle in case you get poo on you or anything else. Gain patient access. Provide a good patient assessment and give emergency medical care. Give emotional support. We've said this, but not all EMS is just drugs and medications and stuff. I remember singing gospel songs with this psych patient one night because it kept the little green men away. I've held the hands of a bunch of little old ladies that just wanted some comfort. I've even helped a man that was paralyzed from the waist down. His home nurse didn't come that day and he ain't pooped all day. I helped him on the commode and helped him potty. I was there to meet a need. My partner over there is like cussing, like, this is not an emergency, sir. I told him, hey, shut up. Go wait outside. I got him. You have to take ownership. This is my community. I'm here to do a job, a service. Is it life or death that he ain't pooped all day? Probably not. But if I was in the bed and I have not pooped all day, I would want somebody to help me go to the bathroom. It's sometimes as simple as that. If you can't take that kind of heat, get out my kitchen. Sometimes it is that simple. Maintain continuity of care. So as care changes hands, make sure it stays high level. We do not give care to people with lower licensures than us, the same or equal or better. Resolve emergency incidents, uphold medical and legal standards, and ensure and protect your patient's privacy. Like, let's say John is in the room with us. John, I ain't gonna tell nobody I picked you up for that herpes one time. I ain't gonna do it. I will protect your privacy. Nobody will know that you had the herpes. I won't tell on you. See, I gotta protect John's privacy. Now that's me just picking on John there, but honestly, that guy's business don't need to be out there, right? I don't need to be posting on social media or anything. It's illegal, and it's also will get you fired quicker than licking split. So be careful with that. Administrative support.
There's no need to deflect your personal medical issues on your students, Josh.
Whatever hurt, boy. Don't get that scene about. Don't judge me. What about administrative support? I have been a manager, and it was one of the hardest jobs I ever did. And you are kind of alone out there in left field, being a filter from upper management, well, admins and the field crews, and your job is to filter between the two. And as an EMT, being a good employee is your job and responsibility. I loved employees that were self-sufficient, that didn't need me, that would only call me if they needed me, not to whine about, well, am I getting this call? Because it's your job. You were signed on to work from this hour to this hour for this rate of pay. And in between those hours, you are to run these calls. If you don't like it, Walmart needs greeters. I mean, if that is churchy as I can put it, is that facts, figures? Is that confusing to anybody? We run calls in EMS. Our job is to meet a need. Sometimes it is a really cool trauma or a chest pain. I saved a life. Sometimes it's taking granted to the hospital, but that's somebody's grandma. And while she's with me, she's my grandma and she needs a ride. So supporting the admins by doing your job and not calling unless you need it, that'd be great. Constantly continue professional development. So I'm constantly building myself. I believe that you as an individual, as a medical provider, should always be adding to what you know and learning more. We provide the initial education. You're going to continue that education by listening to podcasts and reading more books and going to conferences and symposiums. Not only is it a hell of fun, but you also learn a lot and you can bring that back with you. I know this is just a can, but let's say I go to the EMS, and I've done this. I went to an EMS symposium. They had this new fancy gadget that was really inexpensive, but could improve the care and quality of what we gave in my service at the time to our citizens. I brought a little example of one back, showed it to the administration. They loved it because I brought back all the facts and figures, the call. Of course, they wanted to know how much it cost. And then I showed them the data, how it could save more lives. They bought into it and they bought the product, and they still carry it to this day in little South Georgia down there. That's how it's done, folks. Cultivate and sustain community relations. All right. So during the summer in Atlanta, there was some protests that got a little violent from time to time, right? About 40-something police cars were damaged, about 9 fire trucks, but not one ambulance was scratched. Do you know why? Because of a social contract the citizens of Atlanta have with its EMS providers. We are the last line of defense, and Atlanta can't live without the EMS providers of Atlanta. We are good to them. They are good to us. And that social contract to save my life a time or two. I heard about a crew that got caught downtown, and some people from out of town surrounded this EMS crew. They were trying to hurt them, but the citizens of Atlanta surrounded that EMS crew, would not let the out-of-towners touch them. Oh, no, not them. Not them. We ain't mad at them. They have been good to us. So your job is to cultivate, sustain the community relationships. You are a community activist now. whether you know it or not. The community you work in, the community you live in, your job is to build and cultivate those relationships by being good to the people and give back to the profession. Give back to your profession by not assassinating our young and hopefuls. The medical field, it eats its young. Firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, nursing, they eat their young. Ah, you don't know that? You must be stupid or something, boy. No, I'm brand new. This is my first day. How am I supposed to know how to work your Omnicell? It makes it where people don't want to stay in these fields because we're not cultivating those. We're not giving back to the profession. You know, I had such a problem this year with, I'm not going to mention the service's name because I won't piss anybody off or whatever, but I was sending my paramedic students to a place to ride because we're the only places I had contract for them to ride at. And they were just putting them with anybody. And some of the people they rode with, my students came back and told me they were unethical. They were terrible examples of paramedics, and they were not teaching my students anything. They were just there to ride and witness. These types of EMTs and paramedics only teach you one thing, and that's what not to do. One of my students told me, man, we had this guy with his fingers cut off, like nubs by a chainsaw. And the paramedic riding with the student, my student's like, hey, we're gonna give him some pain meds, some fentanyl or something. The guy's like, well, he said he's a 5 out of 10. I only give pain meds if they're a 7. Brother, let me cut your fingers off and see if you want some pain meds. That's the kind of crap we got out there. So we have to give back to our profession and have an attitude of growth and sustainability and not eat our young. So when I say give back, learn things, come back. What if one of you becomes a doctor? Well, be a doctor that's supportive of EMS. What if one day you're the preceptor and you got a new student ride with you? Give back to them, encourage them, strengthen them, build them up to be more, make them believe in this profession and make them believe in themselves. That's how you can give back to our profession. What are the attributes of the EMT? Integrity, empathy, self-motivation. I am self-motivated to get a haircut before I come to work, to have my uniforms clean before I come to work, my appearance and hygiene. I smell good. I have self-confidence. I know what I'm doing. I manage my time. I know how to communicate. I know how to employ teamwork and diplomacy, respect. I am the patient's advocate. I have careful delivery of care. Every patient is entitled to compassion, respect, and the best care. I told you guys this previously. Nobody gives a crap how good you are at your job, how good of a paramedic, how good of an EMT, how good of a nurse, how good of a doctor. You learn compassion first, then you can learn medicine. Nobody cares how good you are. They care how you treat them. So, last thing, you need to learn about patient confidentiality. Be familiar with Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. Know your laws. Very good. So that was lecture 1 for the night. I'm going to take a short commercial break and bring this recording down. I'll send out the next link in about 15 minutes. It's 6:35 right now. Be looking for the link to be sent back out at, let's say, 6:50. I'm going to order some food and set up for the next Zoom meeting and the next recorded lecture. Any questions before I close the meeting, though? What you got? Anything going on there, or is that pretty straightforward, guys?
All good so far.
Everything was straightforward.
All right, I appreciate you guys. I don't mind. I'm sorry if I get a little preachy, but I do have a lot of passion for this industry and for my students and for what I have seen, and I only wish for you to be better. All right, so I'm gonna close this meeting out. I'll send out a new meeting here in about 15 minutes. All right, we'll see you soon.